Right. First and foremost, I'm gonna have to apologise about that in the background. I had a leak in my flat, so what was once a pretty cool background image of all my books and my bookshelf and my poster is not there. So not a great way to start, but if you don't like it, don't watch it. You know, I think I need to get the elephant out of the room, and I think I'll start with this. If you've clicked on this, then you obviously have some interest in the new television show Rings of Power, the supposed prequel to Lord of the Rings. And if you've clicked on it, then obviously you want to hear what I want to say. But if you've clicked on it just to comment and say, troll it or just, dislike it, then just don't watch, because there's plenty of people in the world who are on the internet to just throw their, the world is full of opinions, especially now more than ever. I'm doing this video because it's going to be a long, passionate video, because I genuinely believe that we're at a tipping point now, and it's not just Lord of the Rings. It's things like Star Wars, Star Trek, franchises that have been built from something pure and original. James Bond. I did a video about No Time to Die, I think last year. Something, anything. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be films, television shows, books, poetry, writing, anything creative, anything original. Because ultimately, everything starts with, that one thing. And to be a success, unfortunately, in this world, and this has been the same way for years, unfortunately, especially in Hollywood, they see something and they take it. And now that Hollywood industry is dying a little bit, things like Netflix and Amazon are booming, but I'm drifting off. I will vamp a little bit. They know it's easier, they know it's cheaper to take that and build, a 6-10 episode series, all from a 20 foot studio, and then sell it off as this amazing, beautiful thing. And so, before you react and before you emotionally put your comment in and saying, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know, it's amazing. Have you watched the episodes? Yes, I have. Have you not watched it? Have you not listened to it? Yes, I have. Think the Lord of the Rings books came out years ago, not to mention the films. The films, I think, the first film came out, 2000, 2001? So we're talking 10, 20 years ago. And, that's an entire generation that probably haven't even comprehended or thought to even go back and watch. And they're just reacting, and they're tweeting, they're posting, and they're going, oh my God, this is amazing, the cinematic, the filmmaking, it's stupid and it's naive. And they haven't taken into consideration the amount of effort that went into those films. I know I'm focusing on the films a little bit, but ultimately it all comes from the books. And the reason why those films, the reason why the Peter Jackson masterpiece, and it was a masterpiece, is because the amount of effort that went into it. The reason why fans like me, and I've put it away now because there was a leak in my flat, but the reason why, real nerdy fans have the extended editions of the movies, the 3-4 hour length movies where the actors and the everyone involved in those movies had to learn up on their Tolkien, had all the scripts and all the words from the books, and they filmed all of it. They went all in. And I watched the first few minutes. I couldn't even get 5-10 minutes into the new Rings of Power because it was just it was just terrible. You compare the effort that Peter Jackson went into making those movies. Even the ones that were normally released, and then the extended, full-on nerdy Tolkien ones. And then you think about this new one. You watch it. I've tried twice now. I've tried normally. I've tried again because I wanna try. I wanna make an effort. I wanna really, try and see if it pays off. And I just couldn't. It didn't grab me. It didn't pull me in. It didn't engage me. It was empty. And the reason why I'm talking about this, I know I'm getting worked up, but the reason why I'm talking about this is because I think it's dangerous. I think it's really dangerous. Not dangerous like someone's pointing, grabbing you and, pointing a gun in your face. I think it's dangerous in terms of culture. I think it's dangerous in terms of content creation. Because where do we go? Do we just allow, how much was that Disney deal for Star Wars? And look at the TV shows that are being released. They're just sitting in a room making shit up. I watched A New Hope yesterday. And in that very first film, so much of what has been released since in terms of miniseries, merchandise, spin-offs, prequels, whatever they want to call it. So much of what has been released, and they make a shitload of money from it, is in that first film. And that was in, I don't know, was it 70 something? So we're talking a long, long time ago. And this is my point. Once you allow a company those rights and let them in, like Lord of the Rings have done with Amazon, you're giving up your legacy. You're letting them have everything, and it's dangerous. And what was so brilliant about Peter Jackson's movies is that it was right, and they stopped it. Done. It was brilliant, and still to this day, everyone recognizes how brilliant it is. People travel to New Zealand because of those movies. I'll talk to people, they'll go, yeah, I'm going to this spot. Why? New Zealand. Sorry, Lord of the Rings. They'll say, I'm going to look at this because of the cinematic shots. And that's another point. It needs some energy. See this certain place in New Zealand. It is a beautiful country. I've never been. I've been to Australia. But they'll go because of the scenes that were filmed in the movies. And to go back, that's another point. The reason why I gave up on Rings of Power was because some people easily get conned. But I have friends who work in the industry. My LinkedIn feed is all film industry, creative industry, so they post. They won't publicly admit it, but they do post, so you can see what happens. You can see behind the scenes, and it is all filmed within a studio. It is all filmed in a 20-30 square foot studio, all graphics, all CGI, all everything, laptops everywhere, and they won't admit this because they want you to believe that it is magical fantasy. It looks amazing, but it's and then even the people who try to be authentic, they call it filmmaking, and it kind of is. I mean, times have changed. We get that. The days of Keanu Reeves flying down a highway chasing a bus and big explosions. Doesn't happen anymore. I miss that. I'm fighting for that. I want that because I think a director and a producer should, when they make a movie, they go all out. And the only real people doing that nowadays are Tom Cruise and Christopher Nolan. You know, when I think of it, the only two real directors and producers who, when they make something, they go big, are probably Christopher Nolan and Tom Cruise. Because Tom Cruise, he has the money, the power, and the energy to just do everything. And he's passionate about cinema. And the same with Christopher Nolan. And of course, there's been hundreds down the years, but they're not actively still making. And that's my point about going back to Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson, if you watch the movies, the effort gone into those shots and the effort gone into those scenes, they weren't all made in a studio because they didn't have that technology back then. They had to do it. Obviously, some stuff was CGI and some stuff was, put together because, they were creating and fiddling around with things but it was over 10 years ago. And you have to put some respect on that. And I think now there's the opportunity to do it all easily, even with modern films, whether it's a thriller or an action adventure, a Netflix film or something, whether you're doing an action scene, a producer has an opportunity, right? We can either do it this way and it will cost a shitload of money, or we can do it all via a laptop and we'll just CGI it. The producer, 9 times out of 10, and I know this, I've had conversations with some people who have been involved in films, they'll go, the answer will be, what's cheaper? But it will still look good. And they're conning the audience. That's what's happening, they're conning the audience. If it looks good on TV, then the audience will buy it. It's like Stranger Things, it's like The Grey Man on Netflix. It's, you scroll through all of your Netflix, how many things are 100% authentic, truly shot, wide shots, panoramic, cinematic, really, how many of those do you see? Not many. It's all studio CGI, because it's cheap. They'll say it's expensive, and yeah, the equipment probably is, but that's because the people providing know they can fucking charge a lot. Anyway, I've gone off topic. I think they're making up for lack of dialogue. I think if I was to summarize, I think they're making up for lack of dialogue with fancy CGI and political correct characters to try and please the reactionary world we live in. Because we do live in a reactionary world. Obviously, me making a video now, it's been weeks since it's been released, so obviously I wanted to react straight away, but people respond like this, and we live in a very non-binary world now where there's lots of different cultures, there's lots of different types of people, and I think instead of just making something authentic and straight to the point of Lord of the Rings, they've made something where they've tried to please the people instead of actually just going, this is Lord of the Rings. If you don't like it, don't watch it. And I think that is the completely wrong thing to do because, when Lord of the Rings was made, whether you're talking about the films or when Lord of the Rings was written, whether you're talking about the books, it wasn't made to be politically correct. It wasn't made to please people. It was made to just be made. And this goes back to what I was talking about a while ago, about creativity and how it's getting disrupted. and why we're at a tipping point. Too many people are trying to please people with their content, and too many people are trying to fit into the right boxes with their content. Whether you are a blockbuster, whether you are a major TV series, or whether you're just a YouTuber, or whether you're just an Instagram influencer, it does not matter what level you're at. Stop trying to please people with your content strategy, and just make, you know, not everyone's gonna like this. Maybe no one will fucking watch it. But I know I'm talking about what was on my mind over the last few weeks, and I'm getting it out. I'm talking about it. So I won't have it on my mind. That's what people do. That's what people do who don't give a fuck what others think. And if you don't give a fuck what others think, then you literally are gonna live a better life. And on that note, peace out.